Okay, so welcome guys. This time I wanted to record a YouTube video about my previous laptop and a new laptop that I replaced it with. The previous laptop has been serving me for like the past 8 years. And it's been good. It's been solid so far. I had to replace the thermal paste at least 4 times. I upgraded from 8 gigabytes of RAM to 16. The processor was super slow, and overall the sort of stability of the system and the battery life was terrible. Like I could get like maximum of 2 hours of battery life if it was on power saving mode. So I had to get something better. So I bought laptop ASUS VivoBook S14 that has a AMD Ryzen 7 AI 350, which is like double the cores of this previous laptop. So it's very good. It's a small portable laptop that is good for use in school. It's a last use model, so it's a lot more powerful, as you will see in the benchmarks that I will show you guys. But the main reason I wanted to do this is just because time save with schoolwork. Like opening up a project that takes over 5 minutes it's embarrassing, or like showing teacher stuff on the projects that we're doing. It's like, just wait for the loading icon to spin around. It's embarrassing. So I had to get something a little faster to suffice. So eventually I had to pull the trigger to get this new one. Now the battery life can last me an entire day. But I also I tried to revive the old laptop by installing this custom Windows edition called Windows X-Lite by Conan. And it actually reduced the RAM usage a lot, you will see. But like the specs wise, this new laptop has 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is the same I have on my previous one. It's a little bit smaller too, it's 14-inch OLED. But before I start to show you some real world examples of the benchmarking, just take into account how this will be applicable in daily action. So why did I decide to go with Windows X-Lite as my OS for this device? Well, first of all, as you know, Windows collects a lot of telemetry and diagnostic data of your computer, which use a lot of data, like the error reports, hardware information, websites you go on. It runs constantly in the background, uses disk and network. Also, it disables all the Xbox services and all the apps that are useless. Control over Windows Update whenever I want to update. And no Cortana or AI features at all. No Copilot, no nothing. The system RAM use is less than 2 gigabytes out of the box. And also, it has very few processes running. Only like Windows Defender, that's about it. So here are some real world examples. I use Revit, which is like a BIM/CAD software for designing. And I use the exact same Revit file with the same directory path and same config, same amount of plugins. This project size is 180 megabytes, which is not a lot. But you can see like how much faster the new loaded this program. I barely got the time to even open it and start the timer when it was already finished. Even though the old laptop also has a M.2 NVMe SSD, but also the new laptop has a lot more L1, L2 and L3 cache, so I can feed the processor a lot faster, in addition to a lot of IPC gains, instructions per cycle gains. Now we actually get to see how much it matters in daily life. It's a very disk intensive thing. When we open the Revit file, it has to decompress the element data, load all the family branches, all the libraries. It has to build all the elements in the database and its memory. Then it needs to like complete the disk activity. So here are the results that we got from it. Revit loads. On the new laptop, it loads in 13 seconds, versus on the old laptop, it loaded in 65 seconds, which is a huge 52-second time save and 80% difference in the times. Then next is a Revit project load, which is what I just explained. It has to compile everything. It has to like prepare all the groups with all the elements, like over 200 elements, walls, doors, host of families, MEP elements. And here, the new laptop opened the project in 25 seconds and the old one in 37 seconds. And that is a difference of 12 seconds and a 30% difference. But to be honest, this wasn't quite apples to apples, because on the old laptop, it had a lot of shaders and temporary files probably already preloaded up. Versus on the new laptop, I had to open the file for the first time. Then next one is a feature inside a project. What I did to it is this thing called groups, which is like a lot of the 3D geometry is bundled together and you want to edit it. It's a very intensive process and it takes a lot of time. So I did this repeated action on the same project, which is I deleted a SO file and clicked confirm changes. And on the new laptop, as you see, it took 2 seconds, whereas on the old laptop it took 8 seconds. So think about this. If you do this action hundreds of times a day, how much time that is going to save? That's a difference of 6 seconds or 75% faster. So up next we have Cinebench, which is a CPU benchmarking software. Here I ran the benchmark, same ambient temperature in the room, same sort of environment, same fan speed, same profile for like power use, same applications open. Like I tried to normalize the situation. So as you can see here, at the speed of the footage by 50 times, it took over a half an hour. So the difference ended up being 799 seconds, which is 13 minutes faster. Because also you gotta keep in mind it has twice the amount of threads, twice the amount of cores, so it's bound to be a lot faster. Also in terms of the architecture leaps between them, the Ryzen 5 3500H is Zen Plus architecture on the old laptop and the new one is on Zen 5. Also the lithography process node is a lot smaller, but I think I ran into thermal throttling because the laptop form factor is so small that the CPU kept hitting 90 Celsius, which it couldn't do any faster. So it's kind of capped. The difference ended up being 68.5% in the completion time in Cinebench R15 2026 edition. So here are the Cinebench scores that you see with the new and old one. For example, the single core difference is not as big compared to the multi-core, because on multi-core the speed plus processor amount plus how well the CPU is being fed by the cache, how fast the cache is, cache buffer size, the architecture inside the chip, how well it's fed. But on the single score, the mean difference in the score ended up being 210, which is exactly 50% faster. But in terms of the processor speed, it's 5 GHz versus 3.7 GHz, which is only around 35.1% difference in terms of the raw speed. Then in the multi-score, the difference ended up being over 200%. The old laptop got 1018 and the new one got over 3323. So that's a very applicable benchmark that shows how fast the processor is and how well it can do in other tasks. Then up next I have the regular classic benchmark of boot time, how fast the computer boots up. And here both devices were quite fast. I don't know what the Excel was on here, like why the chart looks so different. It's a singular second difference, very marginal indeed, but both run a M.2 NVMe SSD, so quite similar there. So up next we have software differences between the OS. So here the first screenshots are of the old laptop, and on the right you can see the old hardware because it's by default came with the light mode of Windows. But RAM usage of boot was 3.6 gigabytes there, and the process count for a stock installation wasn't that bad. It was 173, which is not terrible. It's tend to be over 200 very easily. If you enable more telemetry or other settings, Cortana, OneDrive, everything. And then on the left you see with the new installation, Windows X-Lite by Conan, RAM usage went down to 2.8 gigabytes and the thread count exactly halved, which is a phenomenal result in terms of the processor being able to be freed up. And up next we have images of the new laptop, what happened to it. And here you can see how disgusting it is on the right side, like right off the bat. Just look at the taskbar, look at the amount of programs open. You have Outlook, Microsoft slop of all these AI programs, AI features, everything terrible, my ASUS, everything running, a lot of startup programs and boot apps, Windows scheduler stuff, a lot of stuff going on. So the memory use off boot hugs 37% of my entire memory, 5.6 gigabytes off boot. It's terrible. The process count 204. That's also not a great sign. Then on the left hand side, you will see that after doing the Windows X-Lite installation, I went down to 2.5 gigabyte memory usage, and processes count also more than halved, went down to 83. Here are the stats. Show the differences between them. Here also Microsoft Excel. I don't know what it was doing here, but yeah. Okay, then up next we have 3D rendering software called Heaven Benchmark, which is free to use. And here I took a screenshot exactly 240 seconds in. And on the right side it's the old laptop. I got around 85 FPS, and left side is the new ASUS VivoBook with got 118 FPS. Decent difference considering that the old laptop had a dedicated graphics card of GTX 1050 3GB edition, which is not terrible. So it's interesting how a brand new laptop with only a high GPU of Radeon 880M still outperformed the 1050 with only half a gigabyte of video memory dedicated to it. So the difference here was 33 FPS, and percentage wise it was 39.7% difference. So here you can see this AI Claude table that it did in Excel with all these results that you see here. But yeah, I'm very happy with this laptop that I got. The laptop MSRP is like 1,000 euros, but I got it from an outlet, second-hand used, minor usage or like little to no usage was 540 euros. Looking forward to actually getting some heavy usage out of this laptop, and hopefully it will last me a long time. But here are the results, and yeah, enjoy your day.